Hi everyone, welcome to the Stage Door Show. I'm Dave Hondel. Tonight, I have an accomplished actor, writer, and comic who you've seen as the character of Cyrus on Trailer Park Boys, and was theater trained by some renowned arts educators like Dorothy Ward and Tom Kerr. He's shared the screen with the likes of legends James Caan and Kathy Bates, among many others, and tours with his stand-up act called It's My Life, Not Yours. It's an honor to have with me Mr. Bernard Robichaud. Thank you so much for being with me, Bernard.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You know, first of all, I wanted to ask you about the show like Trailer Park Boys, because I love the mockumentary style production. I know in Canada, you know, it's been kind of an iconic thing up there with, you know, Martin Short, Christopher Guest, you know, a lot of those folks that kind of did a lot of these, you know, mockumentary style shows, and, you know, and with SCTV and a lot of that improv type thing, you know. So when you're on that show, is it scripted, or is it a lot of improv that goes on with that type of show like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of improv. I would have to say that probably the first 3 seasons were, you know, there were scripts, but it didn't really work off them that much. And then towards season 3 or 4, Mike went into scripts but we still kind of went into a room before we shot it, and then kind of decided what we were going to say. And then there was still lots of room on the day just to kind of feel it out. I mean, there was ample opportunity to do whatever, come up with whatever you wanted to say or do. Yeah. Mike was an actor's, you know, director, so it was. He was, I mean, you know, he had his vision of where you wanted to go from A to Z, but, you know, as long as it made sense, if it was better than what was written, or, you know, it was your carte blanche, you know, you were good to go. So, yeah, it was a great format to kind of work your talent. That's for sure. And he did put a great team together. So it's tough to kind of look at it in any kind of way that it wasn't positive. That's for sure.
Yeah, you know, and as an actor, you know, you started in theater. I mean, you got some great training in theater and vocally, and, you know, did you find that kind of theater training helped in you know, being a TV actor and film actor? I mean, did it help to kind of cut your teeth, so to speak, in the theater? Because I hear a lot of times people say it's great training.
Yeah, there was no doubt it was great training. I think the other thing too is that, you know, generally speaking, you know, when you're on stage and, you know, sitting up there in the proscenium arch, you know, with whoever else may be on stage with you, you know, there's a ton of people sitting out there in front of you. And, you know, being able to reach every one of them in the back closet there, you know, I mean, I think it took a lot of inhibitions away from me being able to be on stage and knowing that I have to perform and everything has to be right. You know, it's totally different in film. I mean, you get, you know, 18 freaking chances if that's what you need in order to get a line out, I guess. But generally speaking, you're getting 18 chances because they want 18 different lines. You know, so you've got a lot of leeway in film. You don't really have the leeway on stage. You fuck up, and that's, you know, you could end up like 3 lines down and somebody out in the audience saying they just missed like 4 lines there.
Yeah.
You know, it's a totally different experience. So, you know, there were a lot of advantages, but it certainly allowed me to, I think it just allowed me the being able to get over the fact that there's a bunch of people standing there or sitting there, you know, eyeballing you. The difference, I think, with film is that there's a bunch of them doing it, but they're all doing something at the same time. I mean, you know, making sure that what's done is correct. Like, you know, you're hitting your spot or your mark. you're choreographing gunfights, that could take an entire day to shoot something that may end up only being like 15 or 20 seconds on film.
Right.
Just because of, the gases from the guns, it's pretty incredible just kind of moving through it. To me, it was a better experience, though I do still love theater. It's still, to me, the experience of what is accomplished when they put a film together it's mind-boggling to actually have to do it all and then edit it and make sure I don't know that I'd want to do that part. I mean, I'm happiest in front of the camera. I'm not sure that I'd want to do any of the stuff behind it and be responsible for that. At least when I know that they say check the gate and moving on, they got what they wanted from me and I'm good. There's no like going back or a producer saying afterwards, hey, now we got to bring this guy back in and do voiceover work because, all that sound stuff was, you know what I mean? There's a big responsibility.
Well, that's some of the other question. You did some voiceover work, I see as well, and I talked to a lot of actors who did voiceover work, and it's actually one of their I guess fondest memories of doing acting is voiceover work because you're able to kind of play a part in front of a microphone, but there's no audience, but at the same time you can still act out your part even though you're kind of by yourself or with a director. Did you find that to be something you like to do, voiceover?
Really the voiceover work, all the voiceover work I've done has always been for the character, and whether or not I was on set or whether or not I was in studio didn't really change much because ultimately it was just Cyrus's voice.
Sure.
And so you have a bunch of lines that they want you to read. I mean, you get a little bit of script sometimes, so something, you have a little idea of what the scene setup of the scene is, but ultimately you're delivering a line to somebody who's at the other end and saying, okay, can you try it a little bit like this? Can you do it a little heavier on that end? Need this to be a little bit more, blasé, like it's not, I don't want to be over the top, like there's a bunch. So you end up saying the line, maybe 15, 20, maybe it could be 15 times, 20 times, I guess. I mean, for me, it was the character. And so, Cyrus was always a little off anyway, so it wasn't difficult to get 5 times the 5 lines maybe slightly different where they'd say, yeah, no, I think we got one of those. So we can work that is work. We can combine the two of those together and figure out what we want. I mean, now it might have been a little different now, but digitally now the stuff that just the way it works now compared to rolling a tape and cutting stuff and everything else, so much different now. I mean, they can pretty much pull off whatever the hell they want to. You could do it, like I said, you could do it 5 times. I think you could pull a word off of each one and figure out how to put it together and make it work for the producer or director. So
Well, I mean, and the other thing is doing stand up, because I know being in the theater, you're in front of people and you're used to being in front of actual people. And one of the most terrifying things I would think to do is to do like a one-man show or, like a stand up. And, because I know, I read that, you started, kind of playing the character Cyrus and some of these stand-ups, but then you kind of said, well, this isn't who I am, so you you kind of switched it up. So did you find that to be challenging to do?
It was my hat goes off to all those guys that can get up there every night and try to make a joke work. It's not for me. I mean, I did it, obviously I was in character for most of the time, and thank God for that. I found it difficult to kind of switch over once you started doing something one way. So going from the Cyrus thing to trying to get stuff out that was going to be personal and make that funny was difficult for me. There was a tough transition, and obviously the stuff that was Cyrus, I mean, worked only in places where people knew that I was Cyrus from Trailer Park Boys. It was sometimes you would walk into places, you know, that were comedy clubs, and people wouldn't know Cyrus, so they would just see this guy up there with a gun in his pants and a motorcycle jacket, sunglasses on, and say, "What
We're like,
the fuck is this guy all about? What's going on here?"
Yeah, right.
Then I fire off a couple of blanks out of the gun, and everybody's guys would run. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I've had stuff like that happen. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember doing a show in BC. Where was it? I can't think of the name right now where it was, but anyway, I did it for him in out west. One of many, but this one took me into BC, and I remember I fired off the gun, and three guys ran out. And I saw them go, and I just never really paid much attention. I made some kind of remark, and everybody laughed, and you know, I finished my show, but at the end of it, I had this guy come up to me and he goes, "Hey man, yeah, great show. I saw it. Love the show. Love your part. Yeah, man, fucking sorry about my buddies there. They just got out of prison today." And I said,
Oh
"What?"
my
He
God.
goes, "Yeah, there's three guys that ran out." I said, "Yeah. They just
No.
got out of prison today. I said drug related. They were all in there for drug related."
Oh my God.
Okay. So yeah, they were excited to see you until that gun went off.
Oh my God. That's
I thought that was hilarious. I mean,
what a
you know,
story.
I felt bad, but at the same time, it was kind of funny. Everything was good, he said, until that gun went off.
That's crazy. Oh my God. Well, you know, and you know, you've obviously have had a great career that's continuing on, and you know, one thing I want to get into is, you know, we talked about this before I started recording, but about a year ago I had open heart surgery, so I had some heart issues, and I know that you have a GoFundMe out there that our listeners, I want all of our listeners to go check that out. We're going to have it in our show notes, so you can check that out, but kind of let our listeners know, I guess, what you're going through and how they can help.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I had heart failure. I didn't know I had heart failure. I honestly thought I thought I had a bronchial infection, and but you know, my girlfriend took me to the hospital one day. I couldn't breathe. Find out, you know, that, you know, I had heart failure, and only one side of my heart was really pumping blood out. So the left side my right side wasn't working at all. Really, I mean, it was doing something, but when they showed it to me, and it didn't look, it was just like fluttering around there. The valves weren't closing or opening properly at all. They were just sort of open. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been difficult, I guess. You know, I've been an athlete most of my life. I mean, so, you know, being a professional caddy at Pebble Beach, you know, I didn't really notice anything happening until it was almost too late, really, I guess. And couldn't walk up a hill with a bag on my back, and I had stopped 3 times, and I thought, like, what's going on? Like, that's not normal. Now, the doctor gave me, because he thought I had like this infection, so he gave me an inhaler, and of course, you know, the one day I used that seemed like it made it worse. I ended up walking off the course with clients from the Carolinas that came into town for me. That was their first day. I couldn't walk across the fairway. It was 40 yards to the opposite side of the fairway to give the guys clubs. And I thought, no, there's something that's not right. But I thought maybe it was just the inhaler, you know, and the cold air. You know, you start looking, you don't know. So you just start, you know, this is not working for me. I'm not going to take that anymore. And anyway, you end up in the hospital, and then they can't find anything. I mean, they don't know why still.
Yeah.
Why this has happened to my heart. I mean, maybe it's genetic, maybe it's not, maybe it's alcohol, and I have, you know, some kind of thing, you know, an allergy with alcohol that affects my heart. I honestly don't know. I just know that right now, you know, I'm only allowed to walk like a mile and a half a day. My rehab doesn't start till March 17th. This happened on January 17th when I was admitted. I wasn't working 3 weeks before that, so I had no money coming in prior to that.
Yeah.
And then, now, so it's like, you haven't worked since basically the middle of, the end of December, and you're not going to work until probably, at best, end of April, maybe May, till they give you the okay. The other thing is, you've got on the back of your mind that, rehab is supposed to start on the 17th. But if the nurses, when they give you your, when they put you through your loops, decide that your heart isn't strong enough to do the classes, then they just say, no, you can't do them yet. You're going to have to wait. It's kind of like,
right.
There's just so much unknown right now for me that it's pretty scary. I mean, it's probably not scary for maybe people that have gone through it and gotten through it. But when you're sitting on your ass every day and you can't do the things that you wanted to do before, and you got to watch how much sodium you're taking in. So I got to watch everything I'm buying.
Right.
And suddenly, your medical bills and your food bills go like substantial because you got to be watching. You got to eat fruit and vegetables like you never ate before. And you're not
and the medication,
you're not eating a pizza, and the medication. Holy shit, man! Like,
yeah.
I mean, the medication is crazy. I mean, it's hard. I can't. I'm telling me, I'm not going to lie to you, Dave. There's times when I think right now, holy shit, if I couldn't work until the end of May or June, I'd be living in my car anyway. So it's for those things. I don't think people realize. You pay $3,000 a month for your rent, and then your utilities on top of that, and then the new food and the new drugs, and holy
well, I just want people to understand too. I know you've been in a lot of Canadian, and you're like a dual citizen from what I understand, but you live in California, which is one of the most, or if not the most expensive state in the country.
Yeah, they don't make it easy here. That's for
sure.
Yeah.
Well, so gofund.me/Bernard -Dent -02 FEB. So again, we're going to have that in our show notes. So anybody out there, and I know we have a lot of Trailer Park Boy fans out there that listen. So a lot of fans of yours, Bernard will have this on our show notes. So people that want to donate, can certainly do that. And, and I know your Instagram, which is your name, Bernard Robichaud. And I just want to spell it BernardRobichaud, as I know it's like a French pronunciation, Robichaud.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure people can check your Instagram as well, so you're updating people I know on there. So that's one way we can update them on your health and what's going on in your world.
Yeah, well, that's very kind of you, man. I really appreciate that. I would have done the podcast had you, regardless of that, just so you know.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, I know this is a tough time with health, and I've had the same situation a year ago, and I know it's not easy, and especially when people haven't experienced it themselves, they don't understand the feeling that you have, because at any time you have like this feeling that any time you could have a heart attack, or any time it could be it. You only have one heart, and if your heart isn't healthy, then it doesn't take much to break. And so so trust me, I know what it's like. If people want to help, be supportive, but if you haven't got something similar, you really don't understand it. So whatever we can do on the show to help get that awareness out there and get you through this, we'll do what we can.
Like I said, it's very kind, man. I truly appreciate it. And everybody that's already have reached out and or has already donated. I mean, I don't have the words to express my gratitude. That's for sure. It's been a little overwhelming. but in that sense, I'm not one to kind of reach out. I always felt like I could just do shit on my own, but it's been a big help for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, before we go, Bernard, I always ask people this, the people that are on the show that are in the industry, what kind of advice would you give somebody just getting started in this? A lot of our listeners are either high school drama, theater, and college, and other singers, actors, people in the industry. They're just getting started. So, what kind of advice would you have somebody that's just getting into it? Maybe a lesson that you've learned over the years that you can pass along to somebody.
Don't take no for an answer. Don't listen to all those naysayers. I mean, I had a lot of that when I was getting involved in it. A lot of people thought I just, was another pretty face trying to make it. I don't think, just because you're a pretty face doesn't mean that you don't have a world of hurt behind you that you can express differently and change the way people, react, when they see you on film or on stage. I had a lot of people that, I had a lot. I had some great support that were there that covered me for all those naysayers. But you're gonna hit no a lot, and you're gonna hear that from every time. A lot of 90% of your auditions, you're going to hear no a lot, until, you get to a spot or a place where, they want you. And that may never happen. But I mean, the mere fact that you're able to work and do it, and, nobody can take that away from you. I would highly recommend that you just, embrace it and love it for what it is. And believe in yourself, and forget about all the people that are going to say, all the negative things that they're going to say. Believe me, I heard it all. So I know if you're already hearing it, you're already heard it once before myself. So
Yeah.
no, just don't listen to any of that. If you really believe in it, this is something that you want to do, you need to just hang in there, and it'll happen. You keep putting out those positive vibes, and good shit happens. There'll be a network of people that realize that, and they'll want you around them. So but don't listen to those ones that say no. Don't take no for the answer just because you didn't get the job.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't have the talent. There's lots of variables that happen with that, between family and production and people that have already been there before you that audition and want the same part. So there's lots of things that are going to get in your way. But if you hang in there, it'll, doors will open sooner or later, and it'll happen for you. I strongly believe that. I mean, it happened for me, and I honestly wasn't sure. I just thought I'm going to be an actor, and when I did it, but that's kind of what I did with just about everything I did in my life. I just, except for the heart problem, I didn't, say, I need to get heart failure. I haven't had that yet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just a bump in the road. You'll definitely get past this. And, before we go, last question, when it's all said and done, Bernard, what do you want your legacy to be to your fans, your family, just at the end of the road?
Yeah. See, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I, I'd like to think that I brought a smile to people's faces, and my daughter, my grandchildren, if she ever has children, can look at Trailer Park Boys years down the road, and say, "There's your grandfather. That's dad," or something like that. I think it's just. I think it's just. You know. Your peers and some sort of you did okay after all that, because, we all have our shit in our closet. So, yeah, I mean, I just think I've always just wanted to make people happy. And if that's what ends up being my legacy, that I did a good job of that, or put a smile on somebody's face, and that's all. That's all I need.
Well said. Well said. Well, it's been an honor, Bernard, to have you on the show. Really a pleasure to talk to you tonight. And again, anytime you want to come on the show, you come on the show, and just reach out. And my best to you and your family, and we'll get you through this.
All right, I appreciate that, Dave. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.